My name is Dave Close. I am the director of Hot Chocolate Trust, and we work with young people who congregate in the city centre here in Dundee, aged about 12 up to about 21. Hot Chocolate started in 2001 when Alison Urie, who was youth worker part-time here at the Steeple Church, went out with some volunteers from the church to talk to some of the young people who would be hanging around on the grass outside the church. They went out serving cups of hot chocolate and just chatting and getting to know the young people. So the young people started to call those encounters Hot Chocolate, and the name stuck. And we're still having those same conversations, those same relationships, and building with those young people new opportunities to work together, to learn together, to make a difference in the world together.
Christians often talk about good news, the gospel meaning good news, and I guess one of the things that I've learnt down here is what does good news look like on a day-to-day basis, especially in a context where we're very unstructured, where you open up the door and say, well, what kind of day is this going to be today? I've come to ask the question of what does good news look like for this person today? And sometimes that might be a bowl of soup because they've not eaten for a few days. Sometimes it might be helping them with homelessness registration forms. Sometimes it might be phoning their mum and helping negotiate a kind of breakdown in relationship. Sometimes it might be phoning a guidance teacher and trying to negotiate that kind of relationship. Sometimes it'll be celebrating when they get a job. Sometimes it'll be mourning when they have lost someone that they love. And you know, one of the biggest things that stands out for me in my time at Hot Chocolate was back in 2010, just before the summer. We really tragically lost two of our young men who are connected with Hot Chocolate to suicide. And this happened within 2 or 3 days of each other, and actually it ended up being quite the run of suicides across Dundee and Angus, and I think in the end about 13 young people took their lives in the space of 7 weeks. It was a really scary time. But our community was very rocked by this, and Reagan was the young man that we knew really well, and he had taken his life on the Friday night, and we do youth work on a Saturday afternoon. So this then broke right in the middle of our youth work session. And we were really keen to respond and meet the needs of the young people in that point of crisis. And because we're quite under the radar, we can be very flexible with what we do and what we can offer. So we got the word out and we decided that we would open up on the Sunday. Normally we'd be shut on a Sunday or Monday, but we thought we can't leave it until next Tuesday. That's too long a gap for this time. So we opened up on the Sunday, and maybe 12, 15 of his close friends came down and just wanted some space to process and to cry and to use some of the art materials. And then we said we would open up again the next day, and we thought, right, the news will have got out a bit more, we'd better prepare ourselves for a few other young people coming down. And when we opened the door, there was 100 young people waiting out there who came flooding in, many of whom we didn't know, but had found out that the Steeple was a place to come for some support. So thankfully we had brought in some more team members for that, and that was a really, really tough afternoon of mass grief. And we sat and we cried with them, and we chatted with those who wanted to chat, and we provided, again, art materials, or they wanted to make kind of posters and things to go and take to the place where it had happened. And that really led on to at least a week's worth of really intensive, very practical, support around funeral clothing or transport up to the Creme, which is quite difficult to get to. And the family actually had been in touch with us quite a lot at that point as well, and they drove the hearse past the church as a kind of memorial to his time here. And it was both very, very hard but also very beautiful, and the community came together in a way that was really quite special. And the young people were kind of talking about the other places that they might be involved, but almost a sense that people were so scared that they were trying to fix them, whereas here they were just able to be. And this all happened maybe 2 or 3 weeks before our big summer programme. And every year we do a 3-week kind of very intensive summer programme where we take a theme and we break it down and we do all sorts of activities, and the young people decide what goes in that programme and how to explore it. And this year, that particular year, we were going to use the theme war and peace and think about our conflicts and where we find peace in the world or ourselves or in our communities or internally or spiritually. They can interpret it however they will. And we were actually close to pulling it because we thought it might be a bit too hard and too close to the bone for the loss that the young people were experiencing. But we stuck with it, and actually it proved to be the best way of the young people then expressing what they were going through and their anger and their hurt and their confusion. And during that time, Choose Life, the kind of suicide awareness charity, had come to know about us and had they'd been donated a whack of money in order to respond, and actually they then gave it to us because they saw that we were working with the young people that really needed it, that weren't going to any other services, that weren't going to any other organisations, but we were doing that kind of on the coalface work that was so important. And from that point on, we've been able to sustain employing an arts worker. The same arts worker that did that particular War and Peace is still with us today. So that's been a really direct response and proving hugely helpful for young people that are struggling with mental health issues in an ongoing way.